You know, I was talking recently about synchronicity. Well, my girlfriend and I were looking for a movie to watch on Netflix, and what comes up but the Celestine prophecy. Isn't that odd? What a coincidence. Thinking about synchronicity and then a movie about synchronicity comes up. Okay, so if you don't know about the Celestine prophecy, real quick, it's originally a book self-published by this guy. Not particularly well written, I wouldn't say, in the sentence by sentence structure of, like world class prose, but it is laid out really well where it gives his worldview and his idea, sort of a system for living life and getting the most out of life. It is a system that says, coincidences are significant and you can have premonitions of how things might be, and you can see energy flowing between people, and that there's a source of energy inside. We don't need to be stealing each other's energy. Okay. If you add it all up, it's an intuitional system. It advocates, it's 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 what it advocates puts it in a class of what I would call intuitional philosophies. It says follow your intuition, right? I mean, coincidences are significant. You can kind of have these feelings and premonitions, see energy. See, I believe people can see energy, but I believe that's the mind interpreting what it thinks is the flow, and it's using the metaphor of energy because energy is all around us. It's one of the best metaphors to think of things as energy because it's about as little literal a metaphor as you can get. Okay, so anyway, he made this book. It turned out to be, a big book. Then he made this movie. I think the movie's better now. You could see it's still a little preachy. It's still a little hokey. You can kind of tell it's like this book's from a self-help kind of human potential industry thing, and it's yeah, it's really well laid out, the story, and it talks about a guy basically going with the flow of and including introspecting and seeing how wants to use his energy better and whatnot. And there's a little story and some action there. Well, the thing is, in everything in balance, I do believe it's very important to be intuitional and to keep that factor in your life. But you also need to use the intellect. So, I mean, as far as a whole life method, no, it doesn't quite do it, I don't think. I think it fails on the total inspection if it doesn't have other stuff to go with it, which, of course, people in reality do have other things to go with their philosophy. So, um, but really, it advocates a metaphysical need that there's only one way to get in touch with this energy, and and that it's literally real in that sense and whatnot, and literally magical. I think I think there's things we can do in reality that'll seem magical compared to what we know now, but that's all relative, right? So anyway, I think it's like an example of where I think it's good to live intuitionally, is on my birthday. Sometimes I just take a hike. Many times I've just chosen a direction and take a hike. And whatever, I think, if I think, oh, that, something catches my eye, like he's big on that, something that happens to catch your eye, how it does, or you catch someone's eye, or you just note, red shoe, and then someone says red shoe later, and or whatever, you just notice things, even just once. Well, he says that that's significant in your fate and stuff, and you should follow that. And that's what I'm doing on those birthday hikes. It's like, oh look, a rock. I should sit on that. Then I do. Oh, I should move over into the sun, and I do. Or whatever I think, and I make and deconstruct plans, and just I have a little mini spirit journey. It's like a way to um, get in touch with yourself without having to tell your fortune. You just have a little fortune, have a little day. Okay. Well, that's an intuitional day, but I afterwards, the next day, I think about it a lot. If anything significant happened, I've gone to some pretty, I've saved some places that otherwise I wouldn't hike, just way out in the woods, and So there's some interesting hikes. Obviously, I think about them later, and that's where the balance comes in, because if you believe in an intuitional philosophy, you're going to tend towards, okay, let's put it this way: balance, right? If you're really uptight, analytic, uber analytic Westerner, then probably you have a few intuitional days coming. If you turn on the intuition spout, there's ways to trick it on, ways to slowly get it on, a million ways. And if you can get it on, then yeah, you're going to release a lot of pent up energy from the half of your brain that would like to be more creative. So, you know, by all means, but that flood will subside, and you won't. The current of creativity flowing out of your mind will will be at the speed of whatever the stream or river that that filled that reservoir. And if you keep doing this for generations, and you just keep going with this, you're basically, if you're believing in coincidences are significant, you believe in omens. Okay, that's another word for that. And among other things. And so that, after a few generations of that, 5 to 10 generations of that, you're throwing virgins into volcanoes and things. It just doesn't have a good history living that way for very long, for more than a day at a time, maybe a week, or actually, yeah, a trip, however long you can make your trip. I mean, if you're on a tour, that's a good time to live intuitionally till it gets dangerous, then I think it's time to pull in the intellect again. It's a judgment call when to pull in the intellect. You do it too soon because you're scared you ruin that flow of synchronicity that can happen. I had one trip where, and the time it just lasted, but at one point in the trip, the timing just went click, and it's everything. We just couldn't believe thought we were lost, looking for a friend's house, couldn't get him on the phone. Didn't have a lot of time, and he'd moved somewhere, new. We'd been there one time, the time we'd visited before, and we thought we knew where it was, but we took a wrong turn. Then right as we get him on the phone, we turn around, and we show up right there, and we're getting all these parking spaces where it usually is a pain, and we're just on time to get the last, rental of the kayak, and so on and so forth. A lot of little things, which just all felt so synchronous, but I know it was in my head because I was living that way, and you could write it out. You do that for your whole life, you are going to crash. There is a purpose for the intellect. Maybe some of this stuff comes from just the fact that the right brain is so oppressed by the left brain. Let's just basically face it. So most of you give no respect to the right half of your brain whatsoever. And even those of you that think you do, no, you don't. You as the primary speaker and writer and representative, therefore, to other people, you get to do the social interactions um, in in every making in the intellectual realm, because it's the realm of language. The other side gets to do the actual social interaction and the body languages and stuff. And so the oppression is in the social area, the structure, all the things we've designed, the laws, the way work works, the way everything, so people can go party and think that I'm a loose kind of person. But really, they just spend a lot more time at work where they wouldn't think of instituting some right brain uh, activity, except of course the exceptions, and I think we'll have more and more of this. So I wandered there, but that's the purpose of the YouTubes, and it's late. Cheers. I have just a few more seconds in order to say that I'm going to get cut off. No, I'm not, but I am, but I so it's right now.